Ladies and gentlemen, joining me this evening is a creator of many different comics, including All Our Monsters, Chandu Tennety. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, John. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for coming by and chatting with me about some of the things you have going on, including that you're part of the newest C3 anthology, of course, called C3's Hidden Histories.
Yes.
What's the title of your entry?
My entry is called Flight. What was it called? Flight with the Stars.
Okay, Flight with the Stars. And if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, it has to do with birds and
Yes.
bird migration, correct?
Yes, it does. So I don't know how widely known this fact is, but so I guess I should back up. The anthology is primarily focused around histories and little known facts about Ohio, or widely known, But it's a nonfiction anthology this time. So like the last few times we've worked on more fictional, creative prompts, um, but this time around we decided to go nonfiction, and so all of the stories in there are factoids about particular subjects that have to do loosely with Central Ohio. So my entry this time is called Flight with the Stars. It's basically the story of how Ohio sits in a very popular migration path. So we know birds migrate. They go all the way down to South America. Some fly as far as Australia, then they come back up north and they fly into like North America, go further up into Canada, and so on, right? And this happens every year. And as it turns out, there are four lanes of traffic, if you will, of bird traffic in Ohio, in the U.S. And like two of those are like Ohio sits right in between two of them. And
Huh.
so we get a huge variety of birds flying right through summer and then back again in the fall when they're heading back south. So just wanted to like talk about that for my entry this time.
You had to do a lot of research to find this out because I don't imagine that's very readily available.
Yes, this is true. I mean, that I will say that, I think, especially with COVID and certain other circumstances, I think bird watching has kind of spiked in interest, and so there's some content if you know where to look, and among those, like I was able to find some. So the Columbus Audubon Society is a big one. So, for those who don't know, John James Audubon was one of the pioneers of uh, identifying birds in this part of the world, and classifying them and so on. Now, he has a complicated history, like most people of that time, but the Columbus Audubon Society keeps that legacy alive of the good part with like protecting birds, conservation, and so on. And so one of their initiatives is called uh, Lights Out Columbus. And the idea is that because a lot of the birds that migrate do so at night, which is why my title is called Flight by the Stars. So they use like geomagnetism and like the light of the stars, the moon, the sun to figure out like where they're going, right? And we're still trying to understand how they manage to do it year after year. And if you think about it, a lot of the birds come north to breed, so that the babies they have are flying for the first time. They've learned to fly for the first time, and then they're going to migrate for the very first time in their lives going south, right? So Lights Out Columbus helps with that by turning off a lot of the lights on skyscrapers and big buildings because they will confuse the birds, and the birds tend to like collide and die and like get
Hmm.
lost or confused and so on. So just wanted to like use my piece to like call attention to that and how folks can help.
One of the things that my wife and I like to do is we have an app on our phone. I can't remember what it's called. I'd have to look at it here, but It's where we sit on the back porch, we'll have a drink or two, and we'll be listening to the birds. And this app identifies the birds. And it's cool because it gets to be like, I'm going to use this analogy. It's a bad analogy, I know, but it's like Pokemon Go. Like
It really is.
let's collect all these different, birds. And when we go on vacation, we sometimes kick open that app and learn about these new birds that we're hearing.
That's amazing, John. Like you're way far ahead of a lot of bird watchers already. So like, yeah, the app is called Merlin. There's a
Merlin,
couple other apps.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
Merlin's what we use.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yep.
remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's made by the Cornell Lab of
Mhm.
Ornithology, which is the bird studies. And so like, yeah, they've crowdsourced a lot of these sounds, and they've used that data to mine, and they can figure out what birds are chirping at any given point.
Mhm. So, if you didn't do this topic, was there a plan B? I'm curious because I just figured that maybe when you first started, obviously this doesn't pertain to you because you have the story done in that. But was there ever any doubt of like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this thing about the birds. Maybe I should be doing something else.
Not really, honestly. Like I
Okay.
was gonna do birds, but I know that there's a couple of other folks on C3 who are also bird enthusiasts, and I just wanted to make sure that they had their turn. And like if they were gonna do birds, I was gonna either back out slowly of the project, or find something else at that point. But I never really had a plan B. Um, but then when I realized that some of these other folks that I know are bird enthusiasts were doing other topics, I was like, okay, bird migration is still safe as a topic, so I just went for it.
Okay. All right. It's safe to say that you are a fan of birds.
Yes, absolutely.
You're wearing
It's
one on your
definitely a
shirt
hobby.
right now, so
Yes. Yes, it's not a coincidence. But yes, I have been a fan for a while. I'm not, you know, as avid as some people. Like I know people keep telling me about the movie The Big Year, which hilarious movie. If you ever, get a chance to watch it, do it. But I'm not in it competitively like the folks in that movie. So, I do it when I can. I'm more of a armchair birder or a fair weather birder.
okay. I think I fit into that category as well as like fair
Yeah.
weather. I don't yeah. So, in your own words, why do you think somebody should pick up the anthology? I mean, I know you're in it, and that's a selling point right off the
Right.
bat.
Of course.
But why should folks pick it up?
So I actually was Sydney sent out the proof yesterday, and I didn't even know some of the projects that were in there. It is just a phenomenal piece of like history about Ohio. There's all kinds of with different kinds of narrative styles and drawing styles, and so just the technical talent available, right? There's also some really well researched pieces and data visualization that you wouldn't otherwise find. So like there's one piece about the native peoples of Ohio and how they migrated here, and like where they settled, and like relics that we can still find around them. Then there's others about just the bears in the zoo, like the different kinds of bears. And that's a great piece that I love. And then another one around how Ohio used to be an ocean um, way back when. And then, like, before the land shifted, and then it became, a glacier, and then it became, land. So history is like that, like anything from like ancient prehistory to like modern factoids, and things like that. So I think it's just going to be a really really interesting read, and very different from anything we've done before.
How long have you been a part of C3?
Oh, good question. I'm going to say at least 5, maybe 6 years. I
Okay.
won't. Yeah, I, I'll have to look back on that. But
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask a follow-up question. Is this your like third anthology or second anthology? How many anthologies have you done with C3?
This is my third anthology.
Okay.
Yes. So I think I missed one. And then when I joined, they had just put it out. So like,
Okay.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I did miss one. But yeah, this is my third. I remember like, yeah. So there was the previous two that I was in were the ones where we were using like um, prompts for the words Columbus, cartoon, and coalition. And so like, yeah.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the crowdfunder campaign because I think that this is a unique way to do it, and I
Mhm.
think for some folks, and I'm not trying to be derogatory or picking on anybody or anything along those lines, but I think some folks maybe don't quite grasp it, like they don't get it. So I'm going to run it down real quick before we talk more about some of your other stuff that you got coming down the pipeline, Chandu. But
Please.
here we go. It's real simple, folks. When you buy a copy of the anthology, all right, that money is going right back to people like Chandu, like Jeremy, like all those fine folks that I've spoken to or will be speaking to. It goes right back to those folks. So if we can raise $2,000, that means every artist, every creator gets a page for 25 bucks. That's their page count. That their page rate, excuse me, is $25. And it goes all the way down below that. But let's focus on just the 2000 because I think that's really reachable. There's other tiers. There's one for 1675, there's one for 1350, which is fine. That's great. But I think Shandu, I think we deserve to have $25 as a page rate. Don't you agree?
I would agree. I mean, at the very least, like based on the talent and the research and the work that has gone into this, I think it makes sense.
Absolutely. And so, folks, you need to check it out. URLs for links to where you can get the anthology is available on all the social media for C3. Like I said, it costs money to be creative. It does. I mean, Chandu, you have to buy supplies. You have to buy. Maybe you want to go and learn a new art style. You got to go to a seminar or something along those lines, and it costs money, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and this might get a little controversial and, but with, artists are, it's a difficult time to be an artist right now,
Yeah.
right? With
Yeah.
AI and like with the other ways in which the intellectual property and the work of artists is getting undercut. I think you know uh, it's more important than ever to like support artists in the community.
Absolutely. So again, folks, definitely check it out if you can. Donate some cash, pick up the anthology, then that donation's going right back into the C3 funds for, like I said, for all these talented folks to be able to produce entertaining, educational, informative pieces of work. And you know what? I think I'm going to use what you just said in regards to AI and all of the ways in which it's becoming more difficult to be a artist. And I want to talk about your new comic called Tongue Tied. So could you
Yeah,
tell the listeners a little bit about that project, please?
I would love to. Thank you. So Tongue Tied is a one-shot comic. It's not a series. It's not a graphic novel. It's only like 40 pages long, and it's a meditation on memory. And uh, Optical Sloth wrote a really great review about it. But basically, it's about somebody who probably misses their moment more often than they would want to. So it's developed in a square format. So it I launched it first on social media. So it went out panel by panel. So it fits, the square format in that way. And so the book is that story put on paper.
Now, it has kind of a philosophical vibe to it. Would that be accurate to say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Does that worry you that some people won't pick it up or some people won't understand it and that therefore maybe will hurt its sales? I mean, is that a concern? Is that a worry, or do you feel confident enough that the story will stand on its own and it'll be just fine?
That's a great question, John. And it's something that sometimes keeps me up. But sometimes the story shows up in a way that you don't question. And so, like, this was something that developed. It took on a life of its own, and I needed to put it out there the way that I could, with whatever skill I had. And so I think if folks gave it a try, I think it would resonate. So it starts off with a tone that feels almost slapstick, or like an old cartoon. But then there's a twist in the second, like, or like after 2/3 of the book, which makes it all take on a whole new meaning. So I
Okay.
would I would really love if folks check it out. I think I like to think that I can, my strength is portraying emotion and portraying, you know, storytelling that resonates with people. And I think this is definitely, that's definitely a hallmark of this book.
Where can folks get a copy of the book?
It's available on my site, if on Tennety.art. And if you look in the comics section there, you should find a link to it. It's also available on my Ko-fi, which is where I have my storefront, and I have other comics and other stuff that I've made available there.
Well, let's talk about another one of those comics that you've made. We've highlighted it, or I highlighted it at the beginning of our conversation. All Our Monsters. It was a huge success, the first issue. You have a second issue coming pretty soon. So let's maybe give those folks that are not familiar with the tale, let's give them a quick summary. Can we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, All Our Monsters is a series. The first issue came out 2 years ago, and it won the first place in its category at Space in 2024. So the quick summary on the story: it's a fantasy of a teenager who is a refugee, and they're fleeing a repressive regime. But as they're doing that, they develop a musical ability that is more than what it seems. So, and as they develop that ability, there's a resistance that forms around them. And the question is whether one young person can stand against an empire.
Well, issue 2 is coming soon.
Yes.
I mean, you're currently, where are you at in the process of completing the book? Because I don't know if folks know this, but you're kind of a one-man show, right?
Yes. Yes. So I wrote it, drew it, and I'm coloring it right now. So yes, issue 1 is self-published. That's available on my Ko-fi. Issue 2 is in the works. I have it all linked out, and I'm in the process of getting it colored, and then it should be available later this year. I do have the third issue scripted. I don't have it drawn out yet, but that's in the process as well. So this is not like a one and done, back burner project. I'm actively working on it. But as you said, I'm fighting for the hours in the day when I can keep it moving.
So, just off the topic here, real quick. You do all the production for your books. What do you least like doing? Is it coloring? Is it inking? What's the one that you're like, oh God, I just got to get through this, and then everything else will be, easy breezy.
That it's got to be coloring.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've learned a tremendous amount doing this book about color and how to, like, I think, if folks really wanted to see it, like, they could see the progression of my skill even within the book. But yes, coloring has not been my strong suit for long time. Like I was primarily a pen and ink guy, uh, but I know that especially with this story and some of the other work that I've done, that like it's it's equally important to be able to render everything in a believable way, and it just expands the ability to tell your story in so many different ways. If I may, like coming back to tongue tied, right? I use a very limited color palette. Like it's most of it is black and white, but there are just a few highlight colors here and there that really add some impact to the story. So this panel right here,
Oh
like
yeah,
it's mostly
yeah.
black and white,
Hmm.
but then there's that highlight of the purse the lady is carrying, and that like pops bright red. Things like that, really change um, what you're trying to convey, and it doesn't land the same way that just a black and white thing would do. But there are other stories where like black and white makes total sense. So this is another story that I've been working on for a different anthology, not the C3 one, but this one is told all in black and white. So yeah.
So when you sit down to color or add colors to a project, how do you do that? Are you more of the electronic type of the new age way, or were you more old school?
No, I am new age in that sense.
Okay.
Yes, I mean I learned to draw, or learned to draw. I taught myself how to draw in the old school ways, like with pencil and pen. Uh, but like yeah, anymore like I work off my iPad exclusively.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I read where you've had your daughter help write some comics, like the Marionette, for an example.
Yes.
Does she have the inkling to follow in Dad's footsteps?
Not particularly. I mean, I think
Okay.
she is still. She is. I mean, she wouldn't admit this, but she is an excellent artist. But she wants to focus on writing. So,
Oh, okay.
and probably not comics. So it's going to be, yeah, yeah,
Oh, you snuck that in. That was well done.
yep, yep. I had to do that.
Oh, that was good. Very well timed. So let's talk also about the Columbus Scribbler for a moment, because for those that don't know, we have ourselves, for lack of a better term, one heck of a newspaper that focuses on independent art, independent comic strips, etc. And you've had several stories being featured in the Columbus Scribbler. How's that make you feel? Like when you like, can you go back to the time when you first saw your work in that uh, periodical that gets a wide circulation here in Central Ohio? So,
Mhm.
what was the feeling like?
It was amazing. I mean, I'm searching for words, but like, there's definitely, you could say validation. You could just say like, just the joy of, the of seeing your work in print, in a legitimate like, uh, circulation. It's amazing. So yeah, and like I said, I've had a few pieces in there, and I highly recommend people who are starting out, that they check out the Scribbler, and they you know pitch to them, because they're very open and like very welcoming of, especially of new artists, and so like they will prefer somebody who has never submitted before to somebody who has. So if if anybody who's listening to this is an artist and they're like, oh, I don't know where to get my work published, the Scribbler is definitely an option, and they pay you for it.
Do you have any other pieces of advice you'd give somebody that's new to the game, so to speak?
Dang, sorry, I didn't mean to like switch topics there.
No, no, that's fine.
No, absolutely. I I think mostly I would say find a community. So,
Mhm.
and I'm not, and we're talking about the C3 anthology, but that is another place where you can get your workout and in the hands of readers, right? I mean, there's all kinds of other anthologies, but having a community that you can rely on for feedback and support and like just to show off your work, and it has been invaluable for me to be able to be part of this community, because if I was just by myself, like I would still be doodling on post-it notes, to be honest. Like, I would not have gotten my workout, much less in like the Scribbler or way out of left field, like even being able to publish my own work. I mean, the advice I've gotten through the community is huge. So, highly recommend that.
Any other pieces of advice?
No, I think I'm set
Okay.
with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got it. So, is there any other projects coming down the pike besides All Our Monsters issue 2? Do you have anything else you want to highlight real quick?
Uh, so yeah, tongue tied, obviously. So that's done. All Our Monsters issue 2 is coming out. There's another work the black and white comic I was just showing earlier. That is going to be in another anthology, with a few friends, and we're hoping to get that to debut at Space as well. I hope I'm not stealing their thunder here, but yeah. So definitely look for that. Another great collection of talent and yeah, really good
Okay.
stories.
Cool. Excellent. All right, let's run it down one more time here because we need to make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about here when we were talking about the crowdfunder. As I said just a few moments ago, we'd love for everybody to hit that 2,000 mark to get everybody a page rate of $25. But if we get to 1675, every contributor, every artist, every writer, everybody affiliated with with this anthology is going to get $20 a page count. 1350, if that's all that we get through the donations, then it's going to be $15 per page rate. And then 1050, $10 a page rate. So look, this is something that's unique. It's different. It's Chandu, I don't know if there's anyone else in indie comics doing something like this. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a few communities, but like this one, the regularity with which we put out great work, I think, has been amazing. And I think each one has been different. And so, like, and if you were to check out the crowdfunder campaign, there's probably ways in which you can get older copies, and or if you're into it, like their C3 also has their own Ko-fi, and so a lot of our previous work is available there as well, including stickers and other merchandise around there. So yeah, definitely check us out.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's C3's Hidden Histories. It is the anthology for this year. And again, all the money's staying put. Okay. It's not going anywhere. It's not going out of state. It's not going, heck, it's not really even going out of this community, with the exception of a few people. But predominantly, we're all here. 90% of us are all Central Ohio folks. It's staying here in Central Ohio for people that are creative, who need a little extra cash to just get that project over the hump, so to speak, or to buy new supplies. I mean, I've not bought supplies in a very, very, very long time, but I can assure you that they're probably not cheap. Is that correct, Chandu?
That's correct. That is, I won't say much more, but yes, that is very, very true.
All right. With that, then, ladies and gentlemen, again, just check it out, man. The crowdfunder info is available through all the social media with C3. And Shandu, let's talk to you. Let's talk about your social media website. I know it's September. We're winding things down convention-wise, but are there any appearances or anything that you might be making in the next few months?
Nothing as of yet. I'm waiting to hear on one. So, I mean, I will be at CX3, but I'm not tabling or presenting. I'll just be attending. But if anybody listening happens to be there, happy to get together and watch a few talks, or check out the Artist Alley and so on. So highly recommend CXC too, which is Cartoon Crossroads. And waiting to hear on a couple other cons. So no official word yet on my next appearance. Definitely want to be at Space next year. So yeah, definitely look out for that one.
How about website? How about social media as well?
Yeah, sure. My website is Tennety.art. So there should be links right there on there to all of my other presence on the web. I'm Tennety.art on Instagram as well. And my Ko-fi is ko-fi.com/TennetyArt. So no dot there. It's just Tennety Art.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Chandu, it's been fun. Thanks for sitting down and chatting with me about this new anthology that C3's putting out, and all the cool things you got going on as well.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, John. Thank you so much for having me.
You're quite welcome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take a quick break and I'll be back with another great conversation with someone from C3.